When you're managing ideas and moving from ideas to action, and you're on the road to implementation, you're going to face obstacles. And the trick is to turn any obstacles or roadblocks into small little bumps along the road. I like to call them speed bumps. So each obstacle we face is going to wear a different hat. We'll have a different look. So what we want to do is just call them out. We want to discuss them so that we can recognize them and be proactive, do something to turn those obstacles into mere speed bumps so that we can continue on the road through to implementation as smooth and as happy as possible. So time's one of those little obstacles that happens along the way. Time is often one of the biggest hurdles I hear people call out. I don't have enough time, or there isn't enough time, or we need more time. These are the three most common phrases that I hear when it comes to time. And I've probably been guilty of using all three myself. In fact, we probably all have. So the trick is to turn these issues into speed bumps. So I have three techniques that I use regularly to do this. And they are: one, I do not read emails before 11 a.m. I find the most productive time of the day for me is in the morning. So I do not look at emails before 11 a.m. In fact, I try and do it around about 11:30 and allocate 30 minutes between 11:30 and 12 o'clock because I like to go to lunch at 12 o'clock. And that way I'm rewarding myself after reading my emails and actioning them. Number two, big rocks. So big rocks is a concept. You can look it up on YouTube, or we have information within our toolbox. So the concept of big rocks is about identifying your three big tasks. Now you can do it per day, you can do it per week, you can do it per month, you can do it per quarter, per year, whatever. I like to do my three big rocks per quarter. And that way I then work backwards when I'm doing my quarter planning, and I blot in lots of time to complete each of the tasks that I need to do as I'm working backwards, so that my calendar is time blocked already for these particular tasks. And I really like to color code those time blocks orange, sort of like that amber light thing, to let me know that this is a really important task that needs to be completed. It's one of my big rocks. The third thing is time boxing. Now, time boxing has been around for a long time as well, and you can time box your calendar into 30-minute blocks, 1-hour blocks, or 2 hours. I never go over 2 hours because there's a pile of research that says once we don't have a break for 2 hours, that our productivity level is just ridiculously low. There's no point. So I'll block off small tasks like actioning my emails into a 30-minute block, and I'll do this at between 11:30 and 12 o'clock, and that way I can just smash that out. If, for example, my email task and I have a difficult email to deal with, then I will actually apply then what I call the 24-hour rule, which is another technique. And I allocate 24 hours for me to think about, ponder over something that's really complicated or complex or difficult. I don't have to deal with it right now. And so I'll say, well, the next day I'll allocate 10 minutes between, say, 11:20 and 11:30 to deal with that difficult email and to craft that email before I action my emails for the remainder of the time, which is 11:30 till 12, and then rewarding myself with lunch. So think about how you're going to apply time. Another obstacle I hear people talk about is there's not enough people. That we don't have enough staff. We can't possibly do this with this many people. And it doesn't matter what company I have worked for, who my CEO was, it's always a common problem. And we often will hear, not in every case, but often we'll hear this, oh, we'll try and get more people for you, we'll try and help you out, we'll try and get more staff, and rarely does that happen. So I find the best way to deal with this is to reframe it and turn this obstacle or smooth this into a speed bump by reframing how I think about it and turning it into a question such as, how can we do this with the number of people that we have? What can we do in order to make this happen? And often together we'll focus our problem solving efforts so that we can come up with a solution and work out how we can do this with less people. Similar to not having enough people is not having enough money. And again, to turn this from an obstacle into a speed bump, it can be as simple as reframing it into a question, which says, how can we do this on a limited budget, or how can we do this with this much money, or what savings can we make in order to have enough money to get this done? So it's about reframing the problem so that you're keeping the staff, instead of focusing on the issues of not enough money or not enough people, they're moving towards problem solving mode, which typically will put them into a much more productive and happier framework. And once we find a solution, we definitely have happier staff. So another obstacle that I often hear people talking about is a lack of energy, particularly when you're getting towards the end of a project and you've been working crazy hours just trying to get things done, and you're just about at implementation stage and you can just see the end of the road, and just getting to that last bit, it feels like it takes every ounce of energy and effort that you have just to get to the finish line. Well, this also happens during the day. And I don't know about you, but I know myself and many people that I've worked with, we have that 3 p.m. slump during the day, particularly if you're working 9 to 5 or 8 to 6 or whatever. And so I find by not having a stand-up meeting in the morning, because I find that's the most productive time of day, instead I'll have a walking meeting in the afternoon, typically around 3 to 3:30. And we do this because at that time of the day we can see where we're all up to, we can look at what needs to be done, and we can have a discussion on how we can get it done and do some problem solving. And I'll do this by walking in a park. So if I'm in an inner city, there's usually a park around the city. You know, I've been lucky enough to work next to the Botanical Gardens on a couple of occasions actually. So, and that's another place that I'll walk, anywhere where it's outside and it's green. But if it's winter and it's bitterly cold or raining, then I'll take my staff or my team to a coffee shop or somewhere where it's nice and warm, still walking there, and we can pop our umbrellas up, we can walk in the rain, and that way it helps to invigorate us by getting the blood moving. We're all walking, and then we can go and have a cup of coffee and back to the office again to just get on with the task of getting things done. Now, when implementing a new idea, you've often got this passion and this determination for this idea, and this adrenaline determination that keeps you moving even when you're having the energy slump and you're struggling to get over the line. It's that thing in the back of your head that keeps you moving forward. But just as you're determined, sometimes one of the obstacles that we face is similar determination from other people. However, their determination is to stop you from getting your task implemented. They want to stop you, and this can happen for many reasons. And I often find that any new change that happens or any new idea that you're implementing, even if you've had no objections throughout the entire work stage, you've consulted with people, the various stakeholders, all the way through the process, you've asked for feedback all the time, you've been really consistent, and you will still get people right at the end. Often these are people that haven't given you their feedback yet, and all of a sudden you'll start hearing objections. And sometimes it might not be, they mightn't verbalize it, instead they'll do it through their action. So it could be that they're meant to do a task that's part of the role, and all of a sudden they have 100 reasons why that task isn't done. And so there'll be this, I call it determination, because they have a similar determination to you, and their determination is instead their objection. So what I try to do is recognize it and act with empathy. I listen to them. I let them have their say. I hear them out, and if they have questions, and often they do, I'll answer them. Even if we've answered them 100 times before, it doesn't matter. These people often feel the need to be heard. They're often scared about how the changes are going to affect them, and they really need to be heard. And sometimes they actually have a valid point. So by addressing their concerns and letting them have the voice, often you'll find the objections will quieten down and you can continue on the road through to implementation. Another one that I face, and I don't know about you, but I used to deal with this on a regular basis for many years until I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago now. I changed the way that I deal with interruptions. So again, I mentioned earlier, I do not answer emails before 11 a.m. and I let everybody know that. I always answer them within the 24 hours, but I do not answer them before 11 a.m. Another way of dealing with interruptions is you've got to have your own personal boundaries, and it's about talking with people about personal boundaries and about respecting each other's personal boundaries. So often what I'll do is I'll say between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. every day my door is open. You can come and talk to me about whatever is on your mind or whatever matters to you. I'm here to listen to you and to what your issues are, or any concerns you have, or anything that you would like to discuss anytime between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. And if you're doing the walking meetings, then that might be between 3:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. or 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. and 6 p.m. depending on your work hours. but have it at the end of the day, because that way sometimes people solve their own problems and you need to give them time to solve their own problems. And other times, if it's something that's really valid and of concern to them, you're giving them special time that's allocated just to them. You can actually sit down and listen to them with empathy. And you're not having to worry about other things that have to be done because they're already done. So you can focus on your team members 100%. Another issue is procrastination and making excuses. And these often are self-inflicted, or will point the fingers at other people when really we should be looking at ourselves a little closer, and how we sometimes sabotage ourselves. In particular, when we're nervous or scared or going for a big audacious goal and we're not really sure how we're going to do it. We kind of know we're going to do it, and there's this sometimes a false bravado that, yeah, we can do this, and then there's that little thing in the quiet part of your mind going, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And we feel fearful and stressed. My thing is acknowledge it, address it. So I am feeling scared at the moment. I am feeling fearful. I'm not sure how this is going to pan out, but I feel like I'm going in the right direction. And what I do is I call is 4 square breathing. So 4 square breathing is where we breathe in and we breathe out. We breathe in and we breathe out. And that's deep breathing from the tummy. And we do this for about a minute. And if you've got a watch like mine, you just press your breathing thing on and it will automatically set your minute to breathe. It will even give you your timer to tell you when to breathe in and to breathe out, and to visualize that you're going around a square. So in, out. And I find doing this, it quietens our mind, it quietens our thinking, and it helps us to focus so that we can focus on what we need to do to move forward. So when we're talking about smoothing out the obstacles along the road to implementation, we talked about 7 different areas that we could address this. So I just want to quickly sum up these tips, which are: read emails after 11 a.m. Have big rocks for your quarter and work backwards, filling your tasks into your calendar. Time box tasks into 30 minutes, 1 hour or 2 hour blocks of time, and even time box in 15 minutes for coffee or 15 minutes to go for a quick walk. Reframe obstacles into how can we questions. How can we save more time? How can we do this with only this many people, for example? Stop having stand-up meetings in the morning when that's valuable doing time. Instead, have afternoon walking catch-ups to see where everyone is at and what needs doing. Use the morning to get stuff done. Be productive when you are the most productive. Use the afternoon for open door policy so staff can access you for what matters to them. Good luck with smoothing out your obstacles.